there, everybody. Welcome to Talking Hypnosis, brought to you by Hypnothoughts Live 2018. And today we have with us our very special guest, Marc Savard. Welcome to the show, Marc.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone.
Now, Marc's had a very, very, very interesting life. Let me tell you a little bit about him. Marc Savard was a self-taught hypnotist who started on stage as the world's youngest professional hypnotist at the age of only 19 years old. By the age of 21, he was appearing in over 200 stage shows internationally, and at 23, he was fighting for his life. So from creating an internationally acclaimed program for teaching high schools about the dangers of drinking and driving, to helping world-class athletes bring home gold medals, Marc has put his extraordinary talent for working with the mind to good use. And I'm also going to add that you have been a stage hypnotist on the Las Vegas Strip for, you said 15 years?
11 years I've been doing, I've been headlining at Planet Hollywood Resort and Casino. So, matter of fact, I've done 3,000 shows on the Las Vegas Strip.
Wow. So by the way, at this year's Hypnothoughts 2018, Marc is going to be teaching a pre-conference course on stage hypnosis mastery. So tell us, how did you first, you were self-taught first of all, so what got your interest peaked in being a hypnotist, and especially a stage hypnotist?
Well, originally I was trying to get into med school. So I was going to college trying to get into med school. My friends, were all, a whole lot of fun. We had, a great time. And I started getting into hypnosis by just doing some reading and research. And because I had a lot of really good, willing friends, they saw that I was reading about hypnosis and they said, hey, why don't you try hypnotizing us? So I did. And here we are, 25 years later. And so I'm going to be 44 this summer. So when I first started hypnosis was performed by 50-year-old men with goatees and dark sunken eyes. I mean, that's really who hypnosis was performed by. And of course, I'm saying that tongue in cheek. But hypnotists weren't young. They really weren't. Nowadays, with YouTube and all the online content that we can get, I mean, 14-year-olds are hypnotizing their siblings. And this is we're seeing the trend skew much younger now. But at the time, I couldn't find anybody that was under 40 years old performing hypnosis. And so to be a 19-year-old performing shows for corporate clients or attorneys' firms or marketing companies was really unheard of. So I grew some facial hair and I bought a nice suit and really tried to make myself appear a lot older than I was. So originally when I started, I did hypnosis on my own, self-taught, reading books for about 2 years. And then I went and trained at Gil Boyne's school in Los Angeles and for hypnotherapy about 2 years into my stage performing career. And since then, of course, I've been a clinical hypnotherapist and have been now teaching hypnosis from the therapy side to the stage side. And after 25 years on the road and 3,000 shows in Vegas alone, I was on the road for 14 years prior to that. So I've done a lot of shows, and so I have some experience and some interesting things to share. And this particular course at Hypnothoughts is designed more for the mastery level. So you need to have some experience hypnotizing people. If you've never done shows and you only have done therapy, it's still okay to get in the class, but a lot of the class is geared towards hypnosis and performing. But even though many people who who see clients and have a hypnotherapy practice, there is an element of performing that comes in. There's an element of being able to sell the dynamics of a technique to ensure that there's a deepening by realization. So that's super, super important. So there's a mix between the two. Performing and therapy are a lot more alike than people think. So that's what the class is going to be geared towards.
Interesting. So tell me, what is the weirdest, wackiest, unexpected thing that you've seen in one of your stage shows where maybe you gave them a suggestion, but something just went totally sideways and was really bizarre, but maybe even fun?
Well, as a matter of fact, that happens weekly, if not weekly, or something. Because in Las Vegas, performing in front of those audiences, there's people from all different parts of the world. So language barrier is probably the one that causes the most trouble. Like last night, I did a routine with I changed the guy's name to E-I-E-I-O. This happened last night, and he did not understand what I asked him, so he picked up some weird name, and he was calling him yes CCC or whatever he was making it and his name kept changing as the night went on because he couldn't remember it, and it was just the way he took the suggestion, and it was hysterical. So any night there's always something new and unique that's happening, because even though the show might be structured the same, and if I'm given the suggestion the same way, I can't control the perception of the suggestion. So they're going to take it how it gets implied. I did a routine, and many people have seen the YouTube video about this, is when I shake a guy's hand, I give him a real bad case of the jock itch. Oh. So he is adjusting and scratching, and you can imagine, how hysterical that could be. But I asked the guy's name. I said, "What's your name?" And he replies, "Jock." So now I'm thinking he's picked up the suggestion as a name change, just like the previous example I've given you.
Right.
And I'm like, "Well, no." And I go, "And sleep, back. This not, your name. It's the condition you have. So it's jock itch. You have eyes open, and your name." And he says, "Jock," again. Now I'm thinking the guy's messing with me, right? I turn to his friends, and I'm like, "What's this guy's name?" And they yell from the audience, "Jock." So now I'm thinking, I'm thinking my French Canadian, is it Jacques? Maybe his name is, like Frère Jacques, right? Jacques. So, and I go, "Well, how do you spell it?" And he says Jock, just as you would jock itch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, something's going on here. I'm being punked. I'm like, "Well, show me your ID." And he pulls out his ID, and his name is actually Jock. So Jock, that's what his parents named him. So first off, who names their kid that? Second, what are the chances? How many people in the world are named that? Third, what are the chances they're in Vegas that night? Fourth, that they're actually at my show. And fifth, they volunteer. And of the 25 people that volunteer, I select them to be the last 10. And of the 10, I give them that condition. So needless to say, I bought a lottery ticket that night, but I didn't win.
That's hysterical.
Which there was a better end of the story. So there's so many things that happen with when you do 300 shows a year, things happen.
Right. Yeah, I remember Mike Mandel, who's a friend of mine, saying once that he suggested everyone was on the Titanic, and I can't remember if he was a little inexperienced then or just didn't think about it, but all of a sudden people started running off the stage and diving into the audience.
You can never anticipate how some people will take, and all you need is really one person to do that, and the others will take the suggestion with them as well.
Exactly.
So it's a chain reaction, and that's a lot of what my class talks about in the mastery level. I'm known in the industry to be extremely technical. Every single thing I say means something. Okay. If you ask me something about my show, why do you do this? You'll never hear me say, "Well, I've just always done it. I'm not sure why I do it. It's just something." I always have a reason for everything that I do. And so there isn't, when you take the class and training with me, it's not, "Oh, well, you say this because it just works." I'm going to tell you the why that it works. And a lot of the class has stage management techniques that are, I do a lot of physical suggestion, a lot of actual physical manipulation of how people move, what directions they move to, because everything really is an orchestrated piece. And it's not just the hypnosis. So I'm consistently, over 300 shows a year, trying to create the same type of responses. When jokes are funny, I want the level of the show to be consistently funny. So a lot of it is manipulated in stage management and how the suggestions are structured and how to create spontaneity by developing stock questions. And the show has a very, very similar format each and every night, but it's consistently the same. So you get that, some people say, "Well, that's pretty scripted." Well, there's freedom in structure. When you know your show forward and backwards and inside and out, there's no more brain activity happening to maintain the movement of the show. Right. Now your brain activity is available for improv and bantering and manipulating situations and taking the most out of anything and trying to make it funny. So that's really what the course is about, is that advanced level. And it's quite funny because a lot of advanced hypnotists who have taken the training before or similar training from me have said, "Well, how much is there for me to learn? Because I've been doing hypnosis for 20 years. Well, we all have different experiences, and I have only my way, and I have a lot of gems and little nuggets that I can share with a lot of experienced hypnotists who may have not experienced what I have in 3,000 shows in Vegas. So I'm going to talk a lot about those types of things. So experienced hypnotists usually get the most out of my class, and it's always nice to have colleagues that perform at a high level to be in the class, and we have an opportunity to banter and get into heavy discussions, which takes the students and exposes them to not just my career, but the other advanced hypnotist career as well. So that's what is a unique part of training at this high of a level. There's a lot of good nuggets, and there'll be some basic techniques that we'll recover and also expand upon and change just maybe the way that you look at basic techniques or the way that you look at certain things that happen in shows, just from a different perspective.
Fantastic. So I guess that by the age of 23, you'd only been doing stage hypnosis for 4 years. So what happened that got you fighting for your life that probably changed your life on many different levels?
Well, I was hit by a drunk driver, and coming home from a show about 20 after midnight on August 1st of 1996, and it was a serious car crash, a head-on collision, full highway speed.
Wow.
And I had a broken back, a compression fracture, lumbar 3, a cracked C3 in my neck, I had a basal skull fracture, broke the socket around my eye, smashed my nose up pretty good, broke some ribs. It was a really horrendous car crash.
Serious, yeah.
The stagehand that was traveling with me was my cousin at the time. He also sustained fairly serious injuries. We both survived. We were lucky to have survived. The drunk driver was not wearing his seatbelt, and he was killed in the crash. And both vehicles started on fire, and we were lucky to get out. It was a horrendous experience. And for about 3 days, I was crying in the hospital, and I had just finished the Gil Boyne's hypnotherapy training about 2 months prior to. So I had the opportunity to tap into a skill set that I just learned about pain control, and so all these hypnotherapy skills now had an opportunity that were presented before me to be put into good use. So here's an opportunity for me to be my own success story.
Right.
And so I did all natural healing. I asked the doctor to stop all medication, no pain medication or anything like that, and I did all natural healing. And I broke my back on August 1st, and I was playing ice hockey October 9th. So the healing was extremely quick.
2 months?
Yeah, it was extremely quick. I was very, very fortunate. I have no injuries or effects from it anymore. So it's been 21 years since that's happened. And it was, a life-changing experience for me, and an opportunity to be a horrible change, but it turned out to be the best thing that's ever happened in my life. From there, I laying in the hospital bed, I had the idea, well, maybe I can use this experience to talk about the dangers of drinking and driving to high school kids. And I put together an alcohol awareness program that was mixed in with my hypnosis show. And very, very profound, cutting edge, controversial. It was, front page newspaper type coverage because we were going into a lot of schools and doing something unique that had never been done before. And a lot of insurance companies were buying the program and sponsoring it. And I mean, I was averaging 222 dates a year for 7 straight years prior to moving and opening a show in Vegas. So I was doing those shows a lot, and it was a unique spin on hypnosis, and of course I'm proud of that. It was a great time in my life.
Yeah, I mean, if you have people up there and they're suggestible, you may as well be putting in these suggestions that are going to save lives.
Well, and how I designed it was I created a car crash scenario, and of course kept the hypnosis participants separate from the feelings, but emotionally let them play the role. And so the suggestions were given in that sense, which gave them a barrier to the experience of something that was happening that was traumatic, which is what was basically sort of controversial about it. And then they would talk about their experience. So that's what was so unique about it. I mean, when car crashes happen in real life and someone dies, we tend to keep a distance from it. We don't want to talk to our loved ones about it. Well, what happened? How do you feel? How does it feel when that person died? Or what did you feel as the driver being responsible for this car crash? So the information never gets shared. Well, in a created scenario that is emotionally real, a lot of these students would talk about their experience, and they would share but nobody's been injured, nobody's been killed, or anything like that.
But they got the experience,
Right. So, but then they shared it with their colleagues or their friends in the audience, because I would interview them and ask about their experience. And of course, we'd wrap things up and turn it back funny again, not let anyone, the show end on a downer. So it was a very, very unique, very, very powerful performance that, again, I'm very proud of. And we still, to this day,
Yeah.
15 years later, I still get the random email saying, hey, saw that you're performing in Vegas. I looked you up. I saw your show. It changed my life forever in a good way. Thank you. So still, it made an impact, and that was the idea.
Yeah, and that's a really big impact to make. So thank you for including that in your shows. So listen, everybody, Marc is going to be teaching a pre-conference stage hypnosis masterclass, August 21st and 22nd, 2018. If there's one thing you'd like to leave our audience with about what you find is so amazing, whether it's the athletes you've worked with or pain management or anything about the power of the mind, what would that be?
I find that there really isn't much that we can't change from the inside out, and that's the beauty of hypnosis. And in these types of trainings and the students or the hypnotherapists, the experts that leave from here to go and share that message, it's such a wonderful thing that we all get together in a summit format and start exposing what hypnosis can really do. And with the world of YouTube and Hypnothoughts presenting these programs, that information is being exchanged tenfold, and hypnosis is growing leaps and bounds. The exposure of it's incredible, and I'm super excited to share some of the things that I know. Like I said, not really much about inductions, more about shows, stage management. I'm going to talk a lot about the science of the mind, of why things are happening, the way things happen, and of course human behavior and how we manipulate human behavior to create the results that we want. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting to know each and every one of the students there and rubbing elbows and having a great time. That's what it's all about.
Well, it's been great speaking. If there's ever an example of someone who has used hypnosis for healing, it's you yourself. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you at the conference.
All right, look forward to it as well. Thanks.
Bye-bye.